Yararai-rai-ro, yararai-yararai-rai-ro, yararai-rai-ro, yararai-yararai-rai-ro, yararai-rai-rai-rai-rai-rai-rai, yararai-rai-rai-ro, yararai-rai-rai-ro, yararai-rai, oh, yararai-rai, yararai-rai, oh, yararai-rai, oh, yararai-rai-rai-rai-rai-rai-ro, yararai-rai-rai-ro, 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 yararai-rai-ro. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to all of you here in the room, and also to folks watching online. And if you were waiting online, we apologize, but we are glad that you've stayed with us and that we're all here now. And welcome. I'm Rabbi Solomon Grunwald, one of the rabbis here at HEA, and it is my pleasure to be celebrating with my student and also my friend Zev. And we're going to begin the service by presenting Zev with his talit. It is, in Judaism, it's literally the mantle of leadership. It is one of the signs of taking on the mitzvot, the tzitzit, its fringes, representing the commandments of our Torah and the covenant of our people. And so when a person leads services or takes an aliyah to the Torah, and adults in the morning wear a talit. And so we're going to present Zev with his talit as he prepares to lead us in the service. And we're going to call forward Amy and Bernard.
You read first? Or?
Go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead.
Zev, today you take responsibility for your own practice of mitzvot. Becoming a B'nai Mitzvah means that the Torah is yours in a new and deeper way. Yours to learn and to teach, to question, and to celebrate.
May we, your community and your family, be a blessing for you as you are a blessing for us. Today, as you reach the age of mitzvah, you mark a milestone in your transition to adulthood.
As I stand here holding my talit, I am ready and willing to take on the mitzvot as a Jewish young adult. I promise to take seriously my Jewish obligation and to take care of others and to take care of our earth. I promise that I will never stop learning.
Zev, we invite you to be present in this moment, surrounded by your family and friends, people who are joining you from near and far, as we celebrate your entering into young adulthood. We bless you that the sweetness of this day stay with you as you walk the road ahead toward becoming truly the person you are meant to be. And we invite you to say the bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzina lehatetef b'tzitzit.
Amen. In a few moments, Zev is going to lead us in the Mincha service, the afternoon service of Shabbat. And we'll also be reading Torah, as is traditional on Shabbat afternoon. We begin with words of gratitude for being together as a community. And in the world that we're living in and have lived in for the last couple of years, it's not something that we can take for granted or shouldn't take for granted. We should feel blessed any opportunity we have, especially for family to be together from afar on moments like this, on these life cycle moments. So Zev and I are going to lead together on page 214. So if you take up your Sidurim, on page 214 you'll find the Mincha service. And we really want to invite you to participate, to sing along, to celebrate with Zev, to make your presence felt in the room, cheer him along if it feels right to you, and to be fully present in this service. So We're going to invite you to sing along with this melody. It's a call and response, so you'll catch on. There aren't too many words. The opening words, Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha, how fortunate are those who sit in God's house. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yehalelucha Od Yehalelucha Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yehalelucha Od Yehalelucha Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yehalelucha Od Yehalelucha. One more time.
Ashrei Yoshvei
Veitecha Od Yehalelucha Od Yehalelucha. And now we invite Zev to lead us, beginning on page 214.
Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Yehalelucha Selah Ashrei ha'am shekacha lo Ashrei ha'am she'Adonai Elochav
Tehillah leDavid HaMichael HaMelech. Continue quietly through 2:14, and we'll join together in a moment on 2:15.
Tehilot Adonai Yedaber Pi Vivarech Kol Basar Shem Kodsho Leolam Va'ed
Hallelujah. Page 216.
Uva Letzion Goel Ol Shavei Fasha Bia Kuvna Adonai
ואני זאת בריתי אמרתי. ואתה קשור
ואתה קדוש יושב תהילות ישראל וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות
מלוך כל
כל
הארץ
הארץ כבודו ותישאני רוח וישמע אחרי כל איש גדול ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד
Continue quietly on 217, and we'll join together at the arrow in the middle.
ויפתחו בך יודעי שמך, כי לא עזבת דורשך אדוני, אדוני הפץ למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה ויאדיר.
Please rise as we turn to page, we're at the bottom of page 217.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביום אחד וחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יחי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitalol shemei dekudasha b'riyachu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata v'shvachata v'ne'amata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru. Amen.
We remain standing now as we turn to page 218 for the Torah service, which is the centerpiece of the Mincha service on Shabbat. And we're going to call forward Zev's grandparents, Rita and Alan Milberg, and Harriet and Greg Friedman, to join him and his parents on the Bima as we remove the Torah from the Ark. And we'll remain standing, page 218. ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך ענני באמת אישך ויהי בנשוא אהרון ויאמר משה קום אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. Baruch Shnatan Torah le'amo Yisrael. Oh, I'm sorry. Not there yet. Baruch Shnatan Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kdushato.
We're good?
Yeah. So this moment of becoming a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah is a moment in which a young person claims their inheritance in Torah. Up until this point, Zev, this Torah has been taught to you, and now as a bar mitzvah, it is your responsibility to take hold of it and to learn from it with a community and to make it really your own in the years to come. We pass this Torah to you, and it becomes yours now. As we pass it from generation to generation, we invite your grandparents and your parents to share a few words of wisdom in this moment of transition and of handing down.
You staying there?
He's going to stay there.
Zev, our families have grown together in such a wonderful way. We all respect and understand what Torah means, and I'm sure that you will continue in the same path. We love you.
Zev, I wish you to remember this day. It'll fade some of the memories, but when you're older, as you raise your own family, you will continue to know that we are living from generation to generation and passing the Torah from generation to generation.
Zev, at this moment, which is so special for us, for all of us, may you go from strength to strength. And remember, as we pass this Torah to you, the fact of the matter is, you've given us, over the past 13 years, a lot more than we're able to give you. May you go from strength to strength.
Zev, I have to say that me and our family is honored that you share my father's name. And I know he's very proud. He's up there being very proud of you, as we are this day and always. We love you.
Zev, I'm going to share more words with you later, but what I wanted to do was say hi to Mum. Hopefully Uncle Randy got Mum on the live stream watching. And Mum is Zev's 98, 3 months shy of 99-year-old great-grandmother. And I wish for you that you have the strength and the resilience and the longevity that she has, as she's been such an important part of all of our lives.
Amen.
Zev, don't drop it. Real talk, Zev. This is something I think really nice that we do when we pass this Torah down from generation to generation. As Mom just said, you've got a great-grandmother who's still around but couldn't be here today. But beyond that, you have great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and great-great-great-grandparents who came before you. Your great-grandfather, who you named after, we have his talis with us today, which has clearly been well used and we'll use today to cover the Torah. And just remember that, you, much like me, I think, sometimes we question what this is all about. And sometimes we wonder. And I don't have a great answer all the time. And I'm sure your ancestors wouldn't necessarily have a great answer all the time either. But somehow we all knew that it's important. And somehow we all knew that it's important not just for ourselves, but for the past generations and the generations to come. So, you.
Asher Koach. And we now will turn and face the ark together. When the person leading the service, they say, and as we will in a moment, give praise with me to God. And Zev, we bless you that in receiving this Torah, that you take your place as a leader among our people. So we say, Gadlu l'Adonai v'neromem Hashemo yachdav lecha Adonai hagevura v'hagedula v'hateret v'hanetzach v'hahod kol hashamayim u'va'aretz Lecha Adonai hamamlacha ve'amid na'aseh lechol lerosh romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'adam raglav kadoshu romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kadsho ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Torah, 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 Torah tziva lanu Moshe Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. All right, Zev, I got it. You may be seated. And in a moment, we're going to be reading from the Torah scroll, and Zev and his grandma and his dad are also going to be reading from the scroll. And so I want to take a moment to just familiarize some of you who might not be familiar with what we're doing. We read the Torah in an annual cycle throughout the year, and we actually got to the end of that cycle, and of course the beginning, just recently. So you can see the Torah is very little of it's rolled on this side, and most of it's on this side, because we're right at the beginning of Breshit again. This morning we read Parshat Breshit, and on Shabbat afternoon we read a selection of the coming week's Parsha, which is Parshat Noach. Many of us are familiar, of course, with the story of Noah and the ark. And Zev is going to be talking about another story that we're familiar with in this Parsha about the Tower of Babel. So you'll find the Torah portion, if you'd like to follow along, on page 30. You can put down the red books and take up the blue books in the pews. There you can follow along with the words. on page 30. Oh, I found it. Give that man a hand. Here you go.
I don't want to come back up again.
Oh, you found another one. All right, thank you. All right, I just need this. Thanks. Yeah, you're going to be over here. So for the first Aliyah, we call upon Zev's sister Shana Friedman. And Zev and his grandmother Harriet Friedman will be reading this first Aliyah. ותגלה ותראה מלכותו עלינו בזמן קרוב ויחון פליטתנו ופליטת עמו בישראל לכן ולחסד לרחמים רצון ונאמר אמן. הכל הגודל אלוהינו ותנו כבוד לתורה תעמוד נעמה בת ראשל חנה ובנש ראשונה ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום. And I take a moment to introduce you all to Fred Karp, also, who's on the bima, and Fred tutors Zev and tutors many of our students.
There we go.
Baruch Adonai Amborach.
Baruch Nevarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Amborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Elech toldot Noach, ish adig, tamim hayal v'dorotav, et ha'elohim hitalech Noach, v'yoled Noach shlosha banim, et Shem, et Cham, ve'et Yafet, v'tishachet ha'aretz lifnei ha'elohim, v'timalei ha'aretz hamas, v'yar Elohim et ha'aretz, והנה נשחטה כי השחי כל בשר את דרכו על הארץ. ויאמר אלוהים לנוח קץ כל בשר בא לפני כי מלאה הארץ וחמס מפניהם והנני משביתם את הארץ. עשה לך תיבת עצי גופר, כי תעשה את התיבה וכפרת אותה מבייס ומחוץ בכופר. וזה אשר תעשה אותה 300 אמה, אורך התיבה ו50 אמה רחבה ו30 אמה קומתה. זוהר תעשה לתיבה, והאמה תכלנה מלמעלה, ופתח התיבה בצידה תשים תכתיסים 32 תעשה.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
That was a beautiful night.
Yashikar Shena. For the second Aliyah, we call upon Amy and Bernard. And Zev will be reading this Aliyah. We're on verse 17, chapter 6, verse 17. Ya'amdu Rosh Hashanah bat Avram Meir ve'et Benish ben Tzvi Gershon le'aliyah shenit.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. V'ani hineni mevi et hamabul mayim al ha'aretz v'shachet kol basar asher bo ruach hayim mitachat hashemayim kol asher ba'aretz yigva v'hakimoti et briti ata bitach v'uvata el hateva ata Uvanecha, ve'ishtecha unchevanecha itach, ve'umikol hachai, mikol basar, shenayim, mikol tavi el chateva, uchachayot itach, zachar unkeva, yilu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yasher koach. And for this third Aliyah, we'll call upon Zev, and Bernard will be reading it. And I just want to say, I know you, Bernard and Amy, to be parents who lead by example, and you lead by showing your children that you do what you ask them to do. And so it's lovely to have you reading this third Aliyah as we call Zev up officially as our bar mitzvah this afternoon. Ya'amod Ze'ev David ben Rosh Hashanah ve'benesh habachur habar mitzvah ha'shlishi. We're on verse 20.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
מהעוף למיניהו ומן הבהמה למינה מכל רמס האדמה למיניהו שניים מכל יבואו אליך להחיות ואתה קח לך מכל מאכל אשר יאכל ואספת אליך והיה לך ולהם לאוכלה ויעש נוח ככל אשר ציווה אותו אלוהים כן עשה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, and Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, and Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, and Siman Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yasher koach. We'll now continue with the Torah service by lifting and dressing the Torah. To do that, we're going to call forward Zev's uncles Adam Milberg and Scott Milberg to come forward, please. We're going to turn now to, we're on page 220, and we'll ask you to please rise. Yeah. Hold a second. You won't be ready to start. Yamdu hamagbiya v'hagolel. Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Eitz chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'tom ha'me'ushar. I don't remember the melody that well. Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead. Yeah, just tie it on the, just one, just like your shoelaces this way.
This one tight. I'll hold it. Okay. Now the bow. Promise I'll take my finger out of the way.
And then this goes around.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Perfect.
Fred, would you put that on down and then please? And at this time, it's my pleasure to invite forward a colleague, Rabbi David Barak Gorodetsky, who became close with Zev's family when he officiated at Shana's bat mitzvah a few years ago. We're going to invite you to stay standing as we turn to page 178 to offer a prayer for the state of Israel. Page 178.
Thanks, everyone. I'll just say a few words. It's a pleasure to see most of you again. I've seen some of you back in Israel. We were passing the Torah from generation to generation, and I said, this looks familiar. It seems like kind of the same, and it's the same people and the same space, and that's in and of itself, I think, amazing for me in terms of understanding the relationship between the two communities and the strong relationship specifically of this family with Israel. So I'm very blessed to feel and see that. And I'll read the prayer for the state of Israel. אבינו שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל, שתהא ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. הגן עליה בעברת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך, ושלח אורך ועמדך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ותקנם בעצה טובה מלפניך. חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קודשנו, והנחילם אלוהינו ישועה, ועטרת ניצחון תיאטרם, ונתת שלום בארץ, בשמחת עולם ליושביה, ונאמר אמן.
Amen. Avinu Shabashamayim, stronghold and redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel, the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph, bless the land with peace and all of its inhabitants with lasting joy, and let us say Amen. We now will call forward Stephen Friedman to, right? No? Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Come on forward. Stephen and Mark. Oh, I'm sorry. It was on the next page. And we'll remain standing. We're on page 121. Oh, here we go. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nisgav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamai. Go ahead and put it in the part. Rem keren le'amo tehi le'kol chasidav. Livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Wait a second. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Uvnucho yomar shuv Adonai revot alfei Yisrael. Eitz chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tom המאושר דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם. Oh, okay. We'll remain standing. I'm sorry, you can have a seat now. Come on over here. When we celebrate with a young person becoming bar or bat mitzvah, we ask them to demonstrate emblems of the skills of adult Jewish life, leading services, reciting prayers, and reading from the Torah, but perhaps most importantly, being a vessel for Torah and a conduit for Torah. As we symbolized earlier with the passing of the Torah from one generation to another, the real fulfillment of that passing is to then pass that knowledge and that wisdom on to others. And so with that, it's my pleasure to invite Zev to share words of Torah with us.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
My Torah portion is called Noach. In it, we learn the story of the Tower of Babel. In the story of Babel, all of the people in the world, Noach's descendants, were gathered in one city trying to build a tower as tall as the heavens, for the purpose of having a beacon so that everyone could find their way back to the city and to unite them all. God saw this and didn't like it, so he decided to split the people up and make them speak different languages so that they couldn't work together. One of the most commonly asked questions about this story is why God didn't like the building of the tower. I think God didn't like this because the people were so focused on building the tower that they had stopped caring about anything else. According to one commentary, if a person fell off the tower and died while they were building it, no one would care. But when a brick fell off the tower, it was a big deal because then they had to spend lots of time bringing the brick back to the top. This truly shows just how much they cared about the tower that they were making to unite them all, but not about themselves. I think that God saw that and wanted it to stop because they didn't care about what happened to the people in the community. They only cared about building the tower. So, what we see here is a group of people who are willing to sacrifice everything for a single cause. And God is not happy about it. Why? God is not happy because these people have lost sight of values such as the importance of the individual. Another likely reason God made them stop building the tower was that he had previously told humans to scatter and fill the earth. Instead, they were congregating in one city. I think that the reason he gave that commandment was that if they weren't living together in one city, they would become more diverse in language and culture. When God saw that they were all living in one community and not diversifying, he decided to do something about it. God values diversity. Why? I think it is because exposure to many different groups of people enables you to learn from the wisdom of others. Maybe if the people building the tower had communities with different views nearby, they would have seen the error in their ways. Now that we have heard all about the Tower of Babel, I would also like to say a few thank yous. First of all, to my dear old parents for raising me to be the person I am, and to my sister for being there for me and helping me out. She makes me realize that God didn't just make big sisters for the purpose of annoying their little brothers. I would also like to thank Fred Karp and Rabbi Solomon for helping me study and learn everything that I needed to. You guys are amazing. I'm incredibly grateful to all the people who came to celebrate with me. Finally, I would like to give a special thank you to all my relatives who flew all the way to Denver to be with me at my bar mitzvah. Every single one of you means so much to me. I'm so glad you're here. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Zev. Yasher koach on beautiful Torah reading and sharing words of Torah with us as well. You can hold on a second. We've got a few minutes till then. And I just wanted to share some reflections back with you. When we studied your parsha, you gravitated to the story of the Tower of Babel rather than the story that we most know from this parsha, which is, of course, the story of the ark. And you really were taken by the problem of the Tower of Babel and why people came to value the tower over the well-being of people themselves. And it shows the kind of character that you have. The problem with the Tower of Babel, one of the problems that we discussed, is that the tower becomes an end in itself, and to the exclusion of all other things, including the value of human life. And another way of saying that is that's fascism. That's when everyone thinks the same, and they're willing to sacrifice people for some lofty idea. That's not how you are. You're a person who questions, and the response from God is to diversify the language of people so that they think differently, they work differently, and you're a person who questions, who doesn't take anything for granted. You didn't take this moment for granted, and you have persevered through this whole process leading up to your bar mitzvah. I think one thing that you've also learned in this process, Zev, is the value of sometimes doing something that isn't immediately easy and isn't immediately the most pleasant experience, right? That things that are worth doing are sometimes hard. And I bless you to continue to grow in that capacity, to take on big challenges like this, to persevere, to be resilient, and to learn the rewards of hard work and of doing something that isn't easy. So on behalf of your family and everyone here, I want to wish you a mazal tov, and in a little while we'll give you a blessing together with your parents. But now we're going to invite you to continue leading us in the service, which is found on page 222. And Zev is going to lead us in Chatzi Kaddish and the Amidah. We'll ask you to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu.
Hold on, we're here.
Oh, nice. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei rabbah v'alma divrachotei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayacha uv'yomecha uvda חיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונעמתה דאמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
We'll begin the Amidah together on page 223. We'll pray together through the Kedusha on page 225, and then we'll invite you to continue quietly through page 229 as Zev begins on page 223.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Yom Gomel Hasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezocher Hastei Avot Umevi Goel Lifnei V'nechem V'ma'an Shemo Be'achava Melech Hozer Ufakir U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufakei Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye Metim Atah Rav Lechoshia Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem Mechalchel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofel Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Maimit Umechaye Umetzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emar Ata L'chachayot Meitim Baruch Ata Adonai Mechaye HaMeitim Nekadesh et Shemcha Ba'olam Kashem Shemati Shimoto Bishmei Marom Kakatuv Oya Neviacha Ze El Ze Ve'amar Kadosh 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 Adonai Tzebaot Melo Kol Ha'aretz Kevodo Le'umatam Baruch Yomeru Baruch Adonai Mimkomo Uvdivrei Kodshecha Katuv Le'mor Yimloch Adonai Le'olam Elochai Sion L'dor Vador Hallelujah L'dor Vador Nagid Gadlecha V'netzach Netzachrim Kadushatcha Nekadesh V'shivchacha Eloheinu Pinu lo yamush leolam va'ed ki el melech gadol v'kadosh atah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh.
Amen. We continue quietly through 229.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, Ve'imru, Ve'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Ve'el, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel,
Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Hey, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Ve'imru, Imru, Amen. Yasher koach. We're on page 230. Tzidkacha tzedek leolam, v'toratcha emet, v'tzidkacha Elohim, ad marom asher asita gedolot, Elohim michamocha, tzidkacha kehare'el, mishpatecha tehom, rabba adam ubehema toshia Adonai.
Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei Rabba,
Amen.
B'almad divrei achorotei v'yamliach malchotei, v'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayei dekol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yachei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitala, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbachata, v'ne'emata, da'amiran, v'alma, v'imru. Amen. Titkabal, Tzoto, Nuvoton, Dekol Yisrael, Kadem Avochon, Dibi Shmaya, Ve'imru. Amen. Yechesh Lama Rabba, Min Shemaya, Rachaim Aleinu, Val Kol Yisrael, Ve'imru. Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Aleinu Val Kol Yoshvei Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen.
You may be seated. In a moment, we'll conclude the service with a couple of closing prayers. But before we do, I want to now invite Amy and Bernard up to share some words with Zev and to offer him words of blessing.
Dad's going to go first.
Hello. Zev. This is Zev, absolutely, without a doubt, my favorite son. One of my top 2 favorite kids. Wow. When Zev began the process of preparing for his bar mitzvah, it was clear that it was a little bit stressful. Would you agree with that? Yeah. We thought about it and we said, well, what's the reason to encourage him to do this, to come up and lead a service like this when it's something he's never done before? He could become a bar mitzvah by coming up and having an aliyah, or, that's it. What's the reason? I thought, well, maybe, look, it's tradition. I did it. My brothers did it. My father did it. He should do it. That answer didn't sit too well with me. Maybe I said, well, maybe this is an important life skill. To lead mincha is something he's going to need to know for the rest of his life. And that really didn't do it for me either. But then I thought, okay, we're putting a challenge in front of him. And he could accept the challenge and do it. He could not accept the challenge. But sometimes it's nice when there's a challenge put in front of you, even if you're not sure the reason, you do it. So we gave him a choice. We really did. Right? We said, Zev, you can do this the way you ended up doing it, or we could do it a completely different way. You come up, have an aliyah at the end, bing, bam, boom. And he chose to do it this way. Now, okay, I think it's possible that he didn't really understand and realize that it was a real choice we were giving him, and we really meant it. And I hope we made that clear. But I like to believe that he actually chose to do it this way because he accepted the challenge. He had a challenge put in front of him. He knew it was going to be hard, and he accepted it. So it makes me think a little bit about challenges in general. You know, challenges come in all shapes and sizes. We've all got challenges that are thrust upon us without our permission. We've got challenges that we create on our own just because we can. I mean, look, you know, most of us in this room, all of us in this room, we live in a time, an age, and a place where we have the kind of prosperity, the kind of leisure time, the kind of, you know, ability to go out and create challenges just because. I'm going to go climb that mountain today. I'm going to go ride my bike down the hardest thing instead of the easier thing. Okay? Challenges like that. And then there's all sorts of other challenges, big challenges that the world faces. There's climate change, of course, which is sometimes, well, on everyone's mind. We've got anti-democratic forces in our own country trying to tear down this nation, which has been an amazing place for us and our family to live. We've got Islamic supremacists around the world fighting against freedom, fighting against liberty, fighting against all that we believe in. There's big challenges that affect the entire world. But Zev, you know, some people, I was talking to a friend, and he said, wow, it's kind of funny how every bar mitzvah I go to, the parents say, we know you're going to change the world. Zev, I don't know that you're going to change the world. Maybe you're going to tackle one of those big challenges. Maybe you are, and maybe you're going to come up with the solution, and you're going to figure out the way to overcome that challenge. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe you're going to overcome the day-to-day challenges, the ones that you create for yourself, the ones that are thrust upon you. But either way, Zev, no matter what, Zev, we're going to love you and be proud of you no matter what. If you keep overcoming those challenges, while at the same time making sure that you're living life with the values that we hope we've instilled in you, the values that Judaism brings to you, the values that the people around you hopefully are living with as well. Values like kindness, honesty, caring about your fellow man, respecting your fellow man. You keep living with those values, and then whatever challenges you take on and overcome, we'll be proud of you. The little ones, the big ones, whatever they are. So keep doing that, Zev. That's my wish for you. My hope for you as you grow into an adult is that whatever challenges come up, you keep overcoming them every single day, and I know you will. We're proud of you, and we love you a lot.
Thank you. My turn. Zev, before I share a few thoughts with you, thank you. I first want to catch everybody else up on the rock tradition, which we started at Shayna's bat mitzvah. We asked each family member to share a rock with then Shayna, now Zev, with a word written on it that somehow connected them to Zev. For those of you out there who are C3 kids or families, it might make you think back to the rock ceremonies in elementary school. And last night during Shabbat dinner, your family had a chance to share their rocks with you. And a few highlights from the words that people shared include resilient, genuine, patient, and not surprising, there were several people who said adventurous. Dad just talked to you a little bit about challenge, and now what I want to do is talk to you about growth. Dad and I each chose our words without knowing the other's word, and not surprising, it turns out that the two words complement each other. Preparing for today was all about challenge and growth, and Zev, you made it. We all made it. And I know there were moments when it was impossible to conceive of standing up here, looking out at all your family and friends, and knowing that you were going to perform the way you did today. But you did it, and I can't begin to express how proud I am of you, how proud we are of you, and not just Dad and I, but everybody here today. But what's most important is that I hope that you are proud of yourself. Preparing for your bar mitzvah was a challenge, one of many that you've faced and will continue to face in your life. But my hope for you is that you continue to grow with each challenge that you face. We have learned from Shayna and you that our role as parents is to help you grow into who you are meant to be, not who we believe you should be. For us, that means we want to provide you with as many experiences in life as possible so that those experiences can help you determine who you are and who you are not meant to be as part of your life's journey. And this approach also applies to your relationship with Judaism. We have tried and will continue to try to expose you to as many experiences as possible so that you can learn from and grow from them as part of a process of defining the role that Judaism will play in your life. Whether it was your first Mommy and Me class here at HEA, although for you it was Daddy and Me, and many of you remember how happy Bernard was to spend his days with all the mommies. Some of you are the mommies from back then. To your time in Israel, your countless summers at Ramah, or preparing for your bar mitzvah, our hope is that through each of these experiences that you have grown in a way that helps you define a relationship with Judaism that's meaningful for you. Why, you might ask, is this so important to us? Because for both Dad and me, and your grandparents and great-grandparents and all those who came before them, Judaism has provided a framework for life and a set of values that we believe are fundamental in making each of us who we are. And as you begin your journey into Jewish adulthood, we hope that you find the way that is right for you to embrace the values and traditions that Judaism has passed on from generation to generation. Values and traditions that have made you, Zev David Friedman, the smart, resilient, empathetic, innovative, and adventurous person who you are today. We all have a role to play in ensuring the future of the Jewish people, and Zev, for you, I hope you continue to grow through all of life's unique experiences in a way that keeps a connection to Judaism and Israel at the center of your life, that is in a way that is meaningful to you. That is one of the reasons why the rock I chose is from Israel. Thank you to Shayna for her constant collecting of rocks. This one came from the salt cave we rappelled into near the Dead Sea during your first trip to Israel when you were 6, almost 7. And we started our rappelling trip at 11 o'clock at night because it was so hot outside. And so after we hiked up the mountain in the moonlight, we were ready to descend into the cave, and the guides attached you and me on the same rope. The next thing I remember is them telling me to just step off the wall and descend into the 300-foot pitch black hole. I was scared to death, but had no choice but to embrace this challenge because you were ready to descend and depended on me to do so. So descend we did, and as we were dangling 300 feet, or maybe meters, in the air together on that rope, the salt crystals in the wall began to sparkle in the light of our headlamps. It was frightening and exhilarating, and one of the many challenges that we have been fortunate to embark on as a family, challenges through which we have all grown. Let this salt rock remind you to continue to take on lots more challenges in life and to grow from each one. We love you and are deeply honored that you chose us as your parents to be by your side as you continue to grow.
Mazal Tov, and thank you for those beautiful words, Bernard and Amy. And it's, we are part of each other's village, and it is a pleasure to join with all of us here, part of your village, many people also from afar, in celebrating with you and in blessing Zev. And so together, we're going to bless Zev. I'm going to actually ask you all to rise as we all offer words of blessing. It's a blessing that ends with the word shalom, the ultimate blessing that we ask for you, Zev, is a sense of shlemut, of wholeness and of peace, shalom, and of well-being and being at peace with yourself and with the world. And so I'm going to invite everyone here to join me with that word shalom as we bless you. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom, shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom, shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom, shalom. V'yasem lecha shalom. Zev, we bless you that God should protect you and bless you, that God should always be gracious to you and shine divine light upon you. And may God show you favor and grant you peace. And let us say, Amen. Amen. In a little while, we'll soon be celebrating with you this afternoon at the Children's Museum. And before we conclude, to conclude our service, we're going to sing a little bit more together. We'll invite your parents to stay up here on the bima with you too. And we'll turn now to page 231 in our Sidurim as we conclude with Aleinu, followed by Mourner's Kaddish. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latei gdula leotzer breishit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שבשמיים ויוסר ארץ, משה רב שמיים, ככתוב בתורתו. Go ahead and turn around again. We're going to do this together. Ready? והשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, הוא האלוהים. והשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, הוא האלוהים. והשבותה אל לבביך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, הוא האלוהים. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. We conclude this service as we do every service with a moment to remember our loved ones who are no longer with us, as we invite mourners and as we invite mourners and those for whom it is your custom to remain standing both here and at home as we recite Mourner's Kaddish on page 232. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. Again, we want to wish Zev a Mazal Tov, and we look forward to celebrating with you this evening. We'll conclude our service now. We'll ask you to please rise once again as we wish Zev a Mazal Tov and wish him well. Oh yeah, all the kids up. Come on, kids. All the kids, we need you. We need you. Come on, Aaron. Come on, Aaron. And feel free to dance if you want to as well. Simon Tov and Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov and Simon Tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Mazal Tov. You guys all get one big hug at the same time. Ready? Go.